Hello, and welcome to day 8 of the quarantine. So
it's not really a quarantine. It's more social distancing, but it's okay.
And that happens every day. So it's funny because she's here today. This is my wife.
Hello.
Those of you may know Jennifer or Miss Torres, depending. She works at HSE, and she is definitely the better teacher of the two of us. But let's discuss our initial interaction. We're here to talk about equity,
right?
And the first thing you did was minimize my voice. So
no, the first thing I did was correct your statement.
Have you seen the other episodes of this show?
Yes.
Okay, I've been counting down the quarantine, but she takes now, when we're filming the show, to correct me. So, welcome to day 8 of the social distancing project. Okay, so let's dive into it. So I guess that covers our human moment, because that is our human interaction. Okay, so you are an equity coach at HSE High School.
Yes.
Okay. So, and at Fishers High School, we spent some time, particularly first semester with professional development, dealing with issues of equity and social and emotional connections with our students. Mm-hmm. And you guys have done some similar work, correct?
Absolutely, of course.
Okay.
As of most schools within the district.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't teach at most schools in the district. I only know what happens.
I'm just saying these are the things I am privy to being an equity coach.
Excellent.
Yes.
So, how can we keep that equity and that social emotional learning sort of forefront as we go into this e-learning process? So
I think that this is one of the most difficult aspects of what we're trying to do. And there's a lot of different components here. So when I think initially about equity, when we're talking about this distance learning, the first thing that comes to my mind are our most vulnerable kids and just access to resources, right? So all of this happened very quickly. We are very fortunate in our district that we are one-to-one with devices. So our students who are on free and reduced lunch do have devices that are provided to them. But that doesn't mean that those students have internet access at home and things like that. So I know that a lot of that information was put out to students and to families. Again, how quickly families are able to react to that and actually make changes, I think becomes an issue.
Which is fair.
And, and then we have to start thinking about how our kids choose to connect and interact in that distance learning environment. Some students don't necessarily want to take advantage of those opportunities that teachers are putting out there. And so how do you still reach those kids when that's happening? And I think that is one of our biggest challenges. And I know that a lot of the people that I follow on Twitter and a lot of the organizations that I look at are trying to come up with ways to do that. And I think every district is sort of different in how they go about doing it. But I think that that's our biggest challenge.
Yeah, and which is fair because whether it's subject matter like we are in high school, mm-hmm. kids just may not want to spend that hour with their English teacher.
Right.
Or it's relationships, right? Like,
right.
If the relationships weren't great inside of the classroom, not accusing anyone because the relationship's a two-way street,
right.
The student may not want to be there.
Right.
And then other things that we need to think about, some of our kids are still working. Mm-hmm. Some of our kids work at Kroger and at Target, and their hours may be higher than they have been previously. And that's not even to start to include kids with multiple siblings who they may be helping with e-learning.
Well, and that's the thing that we have to keep in mind as we think about what this distance learning looks like. And, we have a plan and we've got these 2 weeks coming up where we won't have anything. And then we're back with 3 weeks of, 3 days a week. And I'm very happy that we as a district went to 3 as opposed to 5 because we have to be realistic in the fact that some of our kids are going to get sick. I've already had a few kids reach out to me that are symptomatic. So some of our kids are going to get sick, and some of our kids are going to be dealing with family members who are sick or having to step in and help their younger siblings because family members are sick. And so that aspect is crucial that we have to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, it is. And I think inside of that, we all just have to realize that we need to stay flexible with what our curriculum looks like.
Right.
And maybe, from looking at curriculum and equity standpoint, maybe we really do finally start having the conversation that's less about grades and more about what skills the kids have.
Right. I mean, that's something that I've certainly been thinking about is like what truly do I want to assess during this time? And am I willing to assess something that I haven't traditionally taught, right? So am I really setting up my classroom in a way where my students are going to be learning? And then how am I assessing what that looks like? I was reading an article this morning, and we'll put the name of the article in the comments because I'm blanking on the name of the article and who wrote it.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, but she was talking specifically about special education students, and that there's a difference between tools and accommodations, right? And so having a electronic tool is great, but that's not the same as a teacher reading something aloud and looking for that call and response from a student. It's not the same as a teacher looking at a question and rephrasing the answers in a way that student can better understand. And those are our vulnerable kids that when we think about our equity resources, we have to think about how are what we're setting up for them, how is that really translating for them as far as learning is concerned.
That's great. That's absolutely wonderful. I think it's a lot to process and a lot for us to chew on. If you want to continue the conversation, you can do that at Mr. Serve and Learn on Twitter or at
Jen D. Torres.
Yes, it's at Mrs. Jen D. Torres.
It is Mrs. I think.
I know, her Twitter account. Lastly, before we go, final human moment. While she was reading articles about special ed kids and helping her e-learning, I was reading articles on how Marvel is going to change Phase 4 because they've had to bump back their movies. So maybe we could discuss that next time.
Sounds awesome.
She's lying. You guys be safe and think about your kids this week and see what you can do to help them out. Bye.
Bye.